Stay tuned until the end of this episode. I'll help you break it down whether you're an intermediate, RX, or elite level athlete.
Throwdown!
On this week's Throwdown, we have Jazzy 𝐒𝐃𝐃 demo the workout.
We've got dumbbell front rack walking lunges, wall walks, and kipping handstand push-ups.
And we release these workouts right here on YouTube every Thursday at 1 p.m.
This week's Throwdown is a 12-minute AMRAP, 2 rounds of 50-foot double dumbbell front rack walking lunge, 8 wall walks into 2 rounds of 50-foot walking lunge and 16 handstand push-ups.
If you want to get on that leaderboard, look in the description down below. There you'll also find movement standards and a warm-up for this workout.
This week's demo athlete is 𝐒𝐃𝐃 Cantu. You guys have seen him before. He is an RX level athlete when it comes to skills and ability in engine, but he's probably an intermediate athlete when it comes to his strength levels, so that's where his priority in training is. And that's all I got to say about him.
The Open is only a few weeks away, and then right after that will be our quarterfinals. If you need some help with your programming and planning for the Open or quarterfinals, jump into our TTT Compete online training program.
Let's see it.
3, 2, 1, 0.
That is so true. The last one he did was a lunge workout,
Yeah.
like squat
With
cleans
Mike.
or something. Yeah.
Why doesn't Mike do the lunge workouts?
You know, Mike should be doing this.
Mike gave me a hard no on demoing throwdowns for this cycle.
All right, so it starts with a 50-foot front rack walking lunge. He's doing like a little half step through, so he's still swinging his leg, but it's kind of grazing the ground. What would you guys recommend? Would you say start with that or try to step all the way through to get some speed?
I think it really depends on how good you are and how good your gymnastics are, because trying to think about swinging through and saving, I don't know, 2 seconds maybe on each 25-foot segment. If saving 4 seconds on the lunges is important to you, then you better be a savage CrossFitter who's just going to be moving really quickly. Otherwise, I think that kind of pace, it just makes sense based on the limitations most likely are going to be on the gymnastics in this workout.
I struggle a lot with swing stepping, especially when I get a little tired. It just takes so much out of me. That little tap, it's really not very much slower, and it makes the lunge for me feel way more sustainable.
This is an interesting
Did we see that double foot kick
the
there?
waltz.
Yeah,
Is this
let's see if he does it. Oh, he does it again.
Donkey kick.
Yeah, Mike actually has coached me up on the wall walk a little bit and told me that I should keep my hips high because it allows you to jump up the wall. But I wasn't thinking that I'd be jumping up the wall.
I've literally been
with my
telling you
feet.
that for like a year.
Yeah, I know.
Mike had to tell you.
Max didn't listen.
Yeah.
Mike comes over and he listens.
Yeah, he's nicer.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if that, if he holds that and what it costs him.
You essentially do the same thing, but with one leg, and you're not jumping.
Right.
You're basically just reaching one leg up from an elevated hip.
Yeah.
He did it for that whole first set of wall walks.
Yeah, that was
8 reps,
8 wall
right?
walks for a really good wall walker, though.
Yeah, true.
So while he's on the lunge, another thing I wanted to point out was his position with the dumbbells. The rule here is that you have to hold onto the handles, but you can position them however you want. To me, this is the most challenging position to breathe in. I would rather either stack them or just lay them on my shoulders and hold it. What do you guys recommend?
Usually I would hate this position, but because there's no other grip movement in it, then if he's more comfortable in this position than others, then I mean, go for it. But if this were like 17-2 with bar muscle ups, I would say do not do that.
I wouldn't want that position mostly because I feel like there's still some shoulder involvement there. I like to rest the dumbbell on my shoulder and basically like fake hold on to it from the top.
And you're really good at that position. Some people like their wrists don't bend
Yeah, I
that
think
way.
it's the wrist mobility that stops people from doing it. What I've seen though, I like doing that, but what I've seen from most of the best CrossFitters in the world at lunging is the behind the head double stacked version of it.
That's what I like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mia does a really good job too of almost resting the dumbbell head on her head. It looks uncomfortable, but I played around with that. And as long as you have it where the flat surface of the dumbbell is pressing against your head, it's pretty stable, and there's less tension in your traps and shoulders.
So as we're watching this, 𝐒𝐃𝐃 did really well last year in the wall walk double under workout. His body weight's not super high. His skill at the wall walk is probably on the elite end, like regardless of athlete. So as he's starting to, well, he got tired there and pushed the thing away from the wall, right as I said, and I think it's funny
Because that was
𝐒𝐃𝐃.
one of my concerns with the kick up, is that you kind of press into the wall and that can move the mat.
Yeah. It seems like he's still holding it up there. I was going to try to count his seconds of him doing wall walks. He started that one at about 3:31, and he's finishing at 3:38. So they're like 7-second wall walks. Those are all pretty quick, and he kept his transitions pretty quick. He basically just lost that jump thing on just that one rep that moved the mat.
Yeah, an elite level speed is about just over 5 seconds per rep over the course of maybe a longer set. So you got to keep that in mind. 7 seconds is still really fast, especially in a workout like this where you're coming back to the wall every 30 or 40 seconds.
Is that time doing the rep or
time
or
doing
per
the rep?
Like including the the rest into the next
just
rep?
from start to finish is
Okay,
about
yeah.
5 seconds. But even like if you go back and watch someone like Noah from last year or Brent Fikowski,
yeah.
they averaged under 6 seconds per rep on some of their bigger sets, and that's the entire thing, including transitions, which is just crazy
That's
fast.
so fast.
Yeah.
That means the rep's probably taken 3 or 4 seconds.
Some of Noah's in the first round. I don't know if you guys remember the 21.
Oh,
it was
man.
just
Yeah.
instant, or maybe it was, they started with
Oh, baby.
oh yeah, the Kool-Aid man goes to the wall.
I get fired up.
So this is interesting. Jacob's pretty good at at handstand push-ups, and it looks like he's already hitting some shoulder fatigue.
Yeah, I think there's just fatigue built up in this, and I honestly think that some of that lunge position, it's such an active shoulder position that when you get upside down and then you pair it again with wall walks, I think these kipping handstand push-ups will be a lot harder than people think.
Yeah. Even if you have a really good shoulder position,
Yeah.
they're going to be tough because
Yeah.
you're doing 16 wall walks before this. And even if you stack the dumbbells, you're still using your shoulders. I remember
Your elbows are still over your shoulder.
for sure.
Yeah.
17.2, my shoulders were blowing up and there wasn't any shoulders in it. That was the workout that Mia alluded to a while ago. That was like toes to bar and bar muscle ups. My shoulders were blowing up because of the front rack position.
Did you say that on camera? Or
Yeah.
no? Oh, okay.
You thought that
I was just, I have no memory anymore.
You just don't listen to me.
I'm always in the present moment.
How many handstand push-ups?
So
was it?
16,
16,
yeah.
okay. So you did sets of 4.
I mean, he's still moving relatively well through this. This will be his last round through, and then he'll start back at the top after this. So he's at 5:45. He's a 12-minute AMRAP. He definitely has time to get deep into that second full round.
Starting to break the lunge.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Interesting.
What's your
Yeah.
thought on that? So that was about a 10-second break on the lunge.
So the issue with breaking something like the lunge is how much time you lose just putting it down and picking it back up. I would say unless you are actually like limited in your strength to lunge, kind of grit through the lunge and take more rest in the handstand push-ups, because you like that rest to put it down and pick it back up probably felt so fast for him, but he lost 12 seconds
Yeah.
or something, and probably only like 4 of that felt like actual rest.
Yeah.
Whereas if you took a 12-second break on handstand push-ups, that's going to help you a lot.
So as you're watching this, I think he just opened with 4. What do you think? Do you think that this is for an elite competitor, this is a target unbroken set in both of these, or do you think that these are going to have to break no matter what?
Yeah, I think if you went back to like that Brent or Noah comparison, they're going to go unbroken. They're going to do their 8 wall walks in, maybe 45 or 50 seconds, and then they're going to be able to do these unbroken. And then it just comes down to kind of the speed of transition. For most of us, though, 4s to me makes sense for anybody that has any kind of lack of shoulder endurance, even if you feel good on the first set, so that you can move through the second set quickly.
Yeah, this scares me a little bit if I were going to do this because I mean, he has 100-pound body weight, more to press here.
Yeah, and his
Yeah, that was
shoulders
an
are pretty
11-second break for 4. So,
Yeah.
and that's not knocking him. It's
Yeah,
just showing
yes.
how difficult this probably is.
Yeah. I'll get to watch more people do it this weekend and judge him. Was it good or not?
So he's through a full round of both 2 rounds and 2 rounds in what,
7.5 minutes. Yeah,
something like that.
7:28 or something like that.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. And this is, we're going to 12. So that means as you're going through this, okay, he's not going to complete the workout. He'll probably get about halfway or a little bit more than halfway. So that gives people just some sort of perspective on, how deep he gets into the workout if he keeps that pace.
Yeah. And, going back to Mia's point on it probably doesn't make sense to break the lunge. this is the time in the workout where if I were doing it, because I haven't been doing a ton of lunging, but I still have really good upper body endurance, I may break a set like this so that I can just go faster on the wall walks, or if I'm in my handstand push-ups faster, because I know I only have 4 minutes left. But otherwise, I would agree that it doesn't make much sense. You're wasting a lot of time, whereas you're going to probably need the time on the wall because of the local endurance needed for both that wall walk
And that's if you can do the 50 feet without feeling like you're redlining.
For sure.
Because if it is a strength limitation, then you should break it up.
Yeah, there are some people that would have to break it up, where it's like 8 steps, put it down, take a break, 8 steps, put it down, where it's more of a strength thing than it is like this feeling like a fast Metcon type feel.
I don't know if I'm sold on the jump up.
It
It may be like a little faster than the step, but he almost has to like pause, and you see like a little jolt in his shoulder, like restabilize when he does it. So I don't know if it's really worth it. Maybe if you're doing like one sprint set, but.
Yeah. I think just as a general rule of thumb, watching CrossFitters, the explosive, anytime that you can choose not to be explosive but still move fast is good. So adding an extra explosion into it, I think from an energy system perspective, probably just isn't gonna, the math probably won't play out.
And your
over the
breathing
long
probably
run.
gets a little jarred for quick second.
It's funny you say that, because if you watch the best, they're never explosive. Even when they're doing their lifting,
they look smooth all the time.
Everything looks smooth, and they make it almost look like it's all like just on the row or the bike. They're doing like a cyclical movement with everything that they do. So that's something that we should all aspire to. But you know, Jacob's found a way that he thinks is more efficient. I think it's worth playing around with for him and seeing, timing it out, and then having the subjective feels too of like, is this harder or is this easier?
Yeah, it's, go
ahead. I was going to change the subject.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, as you watch him here, yes, the reps too by themselves are getting slower, but one of the things that you can tell from, like, you know, if you ask the question afterwards, did he pace the workout well? If you look at the rep breakdown and the way that his hands are moving and how his body line is starting to break down, either the wall walk itself needs to get trained more to handle more, or he probably went out a little bit hot. And I would say, based on, you know, where his movement looks right now, I think he probably went out a little bit hot, maybe by trying to jump all those wall walks in both sets of 8. I think maybe that would have blown him up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I would just keep in mind, too, that even though it's 50 feet, a lunge is still a lunge. It's really complicated for most people, really challenging for most people to breathe in like that dissociated position with your hips and in a front rack position. So it's going to affect the wall walks and handstand push-ups.
I mean, you could see him
lunging
there.
is hard.
Yeah. He's breathing pretty hard.
Yeah.
But looks like he's able to coordinate it. It just looks, I mean, these movements, I feel like together, it creates like that strength blood pressure constriction where it's not necessarily like a 10-minute time trial on an echo bike where you're breathing really fast the whole time, but you're like breathing hard and your heart rate is really elevated and you start to lose coordination. These types of workouts get really challenging for people. Different kind of hard.
Yeah, it very much is. And it's just really hard to be able to move even on something that you're good at, like wall walks for him. So he's having to grind a little bit. He's still doing a good job.
You can tell he's having to like really think about moving his hands.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot of effort to take that last step.
Yeah.
So we got 30 seconds left. I think it's worth talking about some tips on the wall walks, because I think these will come out again at some point. Mia, you have some of these, so lay them out for us.
You got 20 seconds.
Open your shoulders up right away. So what he's doing where he presses into that open shoulder position is really good. I like to look at the wall on the way back because it keeps me stacked, and then try to keep your hips as high as you can the whole time. Specifically on the walk down, that will start to sag and take a lot out of your core and shoulders.
Look at you. You just crushed that in 20 seconds.
Thanks.
You're amazing.
Good job, Mia. Good job, Jacob.
He's struggling.
That was really bad.
Let's go to the whiteboard. All right, so for this workout, I think the level of complexity of all the skills and the weight of the dumbbells for the lunge means that the approach is going to be very different for different levels of athletes. So I'm going to start with intermediate. For intermediates, I'd say for the lunge, the double step technique on each step, meaning that you go into the lunge, you step your feet back together, and then you go into the next lunge step and do that the whole way, and potentially consider breaking all of those lunges into 25 and 25. I know that Mia had talked about not doing that. However, she put the caveat unless it's a strength limitation. And I think for most intermediate athletes, trying to do 50 unbroken feet with all the other stuff would probably be a little bit of an error in terms of strategy. For the wall walks, I would say go smooth and take short rests between every rep. So don't think in Jacob's first set that you saw in the demo, he kind of went from rep to rep to rep to rep and kind of went unbroken through that 8. I think as an intermediate athlete, saving yourself for the handstand push-ups that are to follow by breaking up the reps and thinking you're going to do 1 rep fast, take a little break. 1 rep fast, take a little break, and do them almost like a cluster set would be a little bit more efficient to set you up for success. Then for this, for the rest of the lunges, you continue that double step and potential break at 25 feet. And then for the handstand push-ups, anywhere from 1 to 4 reps unbroken. So you can do the whole thing in singles if handstand push-ups are a huge limiter, or maybe a big set for somebody at an intermediate level would be what you saw Jacob doing, where he's breaking them up into 4s. I would say that a target score for an intermediate athlete would be doing 1 full round, which means you're doing the whole first 2 rounds of lunge and wall walk, and then the second 2 rounds of lunge and handstand push-ups, and finishing all of those. That would probably be a good target for an intermediate level athlete. Now, moving on to the RX level athlete, I think this is probably what we saw by Jacob, our demo athlete. The lunge, you kind of have the choice. You can either start with that swing through step if you're somebody who's strong and feels confident moving weight, but maybe might get bottlenecked by gymnastics, or you can double step, which is kind of what you saw from Jacob, where he took advantage of his good gymnastics and lost a little bit of time with the weight. For the wall walk, I would say hold a faster cadence. So instead of thinking of them as kind of like singles with breaks between, maybe you do 2 fast reps, then a quick break and do that, or do 4 fast reps and then take a break, and think of just holding a faster cadence than you would think of an intermediate level athlete that has to break them up. And then for the handstand push-ups, I'd say anywhere from 4 to 8. Jacob went through these in 4s, and some of his sets got smaller than that, but if you went 4, 4, 4, 4, that means there's 3 breaks in the handstand push-ups per set. You won't lose that much time, and if you did 8s, it means you're doing them in 2 sets. So I think if you do them anywhere from 2 to 4 sets, you can probably get into an RX level score. The target score for RX would be 1.5 rounds or more. Essentially what you saw Jacob do, where he almost finished halfway through that second round by finishing the wall walks. That's right around where I think the shift from intermediate to RX is. And again, it's not a concrete line because going 1.25 rounds is exactly between where I said intermediate and RX, but I want to give you a target to shoot for that pushes your capabilities. Then for the elites, you're talking about swing through steps on all your lunges and being unbroken without putting them down. For the wall walks, no real rest between reps. So kind of like how Jacob did his first set of wall walks, you're probably gonna do for all your sets of wall walks. And maybe they just get a little bit slower in that second round, but you're trying to keep the cadence high. And for the handstand push-ups, unbroken. So basically, if you're elite, you move your ass fast the whole damn time, otherwise you're not gonna have an elite score. Target score for that would be 1.75 rounds or more, which is essentially where Jacob was. He was in the wall walks of the second round of the workout. So had he finished those wall walks, done 1 more set of lunges, and then finished the 16 handstand push-ups, that's probably where we'll see some elite scores starting. And I think there will be people that probably finish 2 rounds of this whole workout. So that can give you a target no matter what your athletic level is. Good luck. The Open's coming very soon, so make sure that you're taking serious your training. Peace in the Middle East, which is where my dad's from.
It's a wrap, you know what I'm saying? Your boy Project Pata in this thing, man. Hey, look, man, thank y'all for watching Training Think Tank's YouTube channel. Y'all hit that motherfucking subscribe button, you know what I'm saying? So y'all go ahead, man. Thank y'all for watching the channel, you know what I'm saying? Hit that motherfucking subscribe button, let it be known, what it be known, what it be known, you know what I'm saying? Pata.